my friends. I'm going to say to my fifth grade class, hello, because I'm using this in accordance with my fifth grade class, but I'm sharing it with the rest of you as well on my YouTube channel. So, today I'm going to start adding some details to this palm tree that I already created. Um, I've created a background. What I want to do now is to add some details into my foreground and possibly into my background because I haven't quite decided how I'm going to finish this up. When I originally started this, I was planning on this to be like a sunrise, but it seems to be overwhelming as far as the size. And I think I'm just going to have it to be like a mound or a beach behind the palm tree and bring out some qualities here that got lost in the paint because of the value of the paint. So I'm going to try and bring back some of my palms and some of the details within the sand itself. I'm going to start out with my palm since that's at the top. I'm going to use a variety of different materials. I'm going to use my color pencils. I'm going to use my Sharpies, and I'll probably even use um, possibly some paint as well. Um, but I need to bring this back out by creating some more contrast because it's taken on such the quality of the blue of the background, and I would like to let that feel like it's more in the foreground because it's kind of fading back. So I'm going to go into my palms as well as into my tree and just try and bring back some of those qualities when it was just a pure white piece of paper. Um, and I'm going to do that with color. I'm going to try and do that a little bit as well with Sharpie. I may introduce some color Sharpie to it as well. That might not be a bad idea. It already is helping to bring it back out from that background. I probably should have been a little more careful with my watercolors, not allowing so much color to come through and leaving some more white. That would probably help bring that back as well. Bring it back to the foreground. I don't want to get too dark over here because I still want that to be my highlighted side. But I do need enough contrast to know that that is in the foreground and not lost in the background. And I think that helps. I know you can't hear my background music. I would like for it to play as well onto the um, when I'm working, but it's calming to me. I usually have a water sound or a light piano or maybe some jazz playing. It just kind of helps me get into my art and just kind of meditate on what I'm doing and thinking about what I'm doing. Um, Makes me a little more peaceful. I try to get my kids in the classroom to listen to very calming music. The problem is they can't hear it because they're generally talking over it, um, which has become quite the challenge in the classroom. And I think that's why I like making these videos because then I still feel like I'm teaching, and hopefully someone's getting some um, positive influence from me in their art in a more relaxing way. I'm inspired by some impressive men that um, I thought were great teachers. Um, I was growing up. I'm trying to think of the one. I had it in my head and then I've lost it. Obviously, I think Bob Ross is a impressive man, far as how he could talk to his audience in a calm voice and just still over the years, people are still following his videos, and I think that's just impressive. Cannot remember the name of the guy for the life of me. It was a kid's show. He always came out just very calm and in control of himself. And I try to tell my kids at school to have calm bodies, calm hearts, calm minds. Great things can happen. When we're not calm is when all the bad stuff happens. When we're not breathing and taking that breath of life and just enjoying life. Here's my dark green. I really love this. This reminds me of Dr. Seuss's trees. It's just very whimsical. Been inspired by a lot of different artists over the years. I am just stumped on the name of that person I'm trying to think of. It was a kid's show. I'm sorry. Dwelling on it, obsessing. It'll come to me. It'll probably come to me after I'm all done. Just trying to find different ways to bring this out into the foreground. You don't need a whole lot of big dark lines, but just a few will help pull your eye around the composition, and as well just creating moments of interest. Something just a little different, like a dot on the paper. You can draw your eye around, like a road map. You don't want too much of the same thing, and you don't want it all in the same area, but it stimulates the brain. And I think that's what art is. It's a stimulation, at least for me. And at the same time, very calming. Just trying to figure out where to put an object, an item, the right spot, the right time. Because you can overdo something. The trick is not to. Just doing a little bit at a time, thinking about it, looking at it from a distance. I'm doing that by looking at in the monitor rather than just at my paper. When I look up at my monitor on my computer, I get an idea about what is happening when I just do a little bit of something. Is it like walking away from the painting and getting a more of a bird's eye view at a distance, getting a truer appreciation for what's happening in the overall composition? Because you have to look at it as a whole piece too. You can't just look at it as a little bit, little bite as to where you're at. Trying some different textures. It makes interest. I tell my kids all the time that you can create emphasis just by the little bit you do. And obviously, my emphasis I want to be on my tree, and I don't want it to be so much on this background. So that's why I've got to determine how am I going to do this. I haven't quite come up with a solution yet, so it might be in the next video. But I'm going to try and make at least my foreground become a little more interesting. Notice how I'm just bringing in some color pencil. That creates a different value here than what was there before. I could do the same thing over here because it's not really determined if this is land or is this part of what I thought was the sun, but I think I'm going to make it more of a land formation. And I'm just going to create just a little bit of a hatching with my color pencil. I'm blending this out, just fading it out. Just again, creates more interest. It's also creating a little more depth. It almost appears that this could now be the beach. And this could also, even though I added the brown to this yellow, this almost feels like it could possibly be water back here. So I may add some blues into this. That was not my intent when I started this, but it just kind of happens as your painting or your drawing evolves. You can get different things happening. And I said things because I couldn't think of a better word. Obviously, there's a better word for that. Just trying to create some interest. But not overdoing it. This is important. We don't overdo anything that we do in life or in our drawings. Just doing a little bit at a time. Seeing where I'm going with that, I'm going to bring in a little bit of a darker value into this. And I possibly might go back into my watercolor in this later too, just to see what happens. Just enough of a contrast on that edge that it's going to push my eye right back up to the center of the composition. Again, some darker values in different spots. Draw your eye back up into that spot because my goal is to get to back up in here and looking at this. Just like it's like a trail leading you along the road. Guide, a road map. Some breadcrumbs to get you back to where you're supposed to be. See how that's already created a whole new horizon line along there. And now I got to determine still what I'm going to do with this. I haven't quite decided. But you can see as I'm working along, it's created some more interest. I told my kids when we were doing this, this is the original palm tree I did with my students in class. And you see how it's just a little different. I added these pieces, these forms here, I cut them out. This one here is not actually attached still. So I've taken it off. I actually just kind of taped it in there just so I could show them that you can add on. And these palms up here in the top, I made separate. Some of them I drew. Actually, none of these I drew. Actually, all this was cut out, to be honest. I'm not telling you the truth. Because in the original, we painted our background and then we cut out our tree. But I did this in many more pieces just to give it a variety. And like the shell down here, that was cut out and added on. And then I added some grass here to make that interesting. So I could do the same thing to this composition, or I could just make this totally a two-dimensional without any add-ons to it. But I find it fun and interesting when you can add things to a composition with using different medias. I mean, I could have possibly even have brought pastels into my composition. I'm not there yet. I'm happy with what I got for today, and I hope you've enjoyed what you've watched today. And hope to see you back again to watch the remaining episode of how I'm going to finish this palm tree. But it's feeling very peaceful. I feel like I could just, escape to this lonely palm tree on the beach and just meditate and draw and enjoy the afternoon. You guys have a great day, and we will see you the next time. Mr. Reifel says, have a great day and enjoy your art.